So welcome back, everybody. Thank you for enjoying this as much as I am. This is another one in the series, and this one is actually one of my favorites. I teach a course that you're welcome to join. It's called The Foundation to Opening Your Spiritual Channels. It may or may not have some value to you. But one of the things that I have discovered in my long journey is that healing has many different contributing factors. And what I've come to learn is that we are a soul first before we are this physical experience. And, I think we covered that in the one sentence secrets. And as a vessel, as a soul that has chakras, that has energy centers, then we want to pay attention to them. Because if these chakras or energy centers are not paid attention to, then that means that the space in our body is not paid attention to. Our health and our wellness is associated with the imbalances within the energetic space of our body. We are made up of soul, heart, mind, energy, and matter. And that energy and matter is impacted by what we refer to as blockages in our vibrational field. What is the vibrational field and what are our blockages? Well, Dr. Lin went over that earlier. And so when we have blockages in our vibrational field, they impact the space of our body, which in turn impacts the energy and matter. What resides in that space? Our chakras and these foundational energy centers that I'm going to talk to you about today. So when you work with and practice with enhancing the power of these centers and clearing any associated negative vibration, frequency, and Shen Qi Jing associated with these centers, then the natural side effect is you'll feel more energy, more vitality, happier, and healthier. Let's take a closer look as to why that is. So there are in this wisdom 5 foundational energy centers. We're going to touch on the 3 core foundational energy centers today. Let me share the screen with you. These 5 foundational energy centers are quite important, and they are included in the Zhu Chao, the third eye, the message center, the lower Dantian, and the Kundalini. Now, the 3 we're going to be focusing on today are the lower Dantian, Kundalini, and the message center. What is the lower Dantian? Well, it's located about 1.5 tsun down from the navel and about 2.5 tsun inside the body. And it's a fist-sized energy center. And it's also what's referred to as the postnatal energy center. Now, in my Open Spiritual Channels Foundation course, I spend 2 hours going into each one of these energy centers in depth, of course, with a lot of practice, so you can empower these energy centers and clear the blockages. This gives you a little bit of a snippet of the importance. And so what is the importance of this lower Dantian? Well, it is a key soul house for healing the large intestine, developing stamina and vitality, for rejuvenation, and even for losing weight. Isn't that interesting? And so there's so much more I can share about it. But one of the key things is that this lower foundational energy center is very commonly associated with the martial arts, Tai Chi, Qi Gong, okay, all of the martial arts. What are they doing when you see them at the park? The rotational movements are focused on where? Their lower abdomen. Whenever you see a karate or aikido or any of the martial arts, where is their focus? The lower abdomen. Specifically where? The lower Dantian. So this energy center has been well known for thousands of years in the East, and in the West, we're just kind of learning about it. So what our teacher has done has brought these foundational wisdoms to us so that we are operating off a much more of a solid energetic foundation within our body instead of one that is empowered only by foods. We can be empowered by heaven and Mother Earth as well through these foundational practices. And so let's look at the Kundalini, the second of the foundational energy centers. And so the Kundalini is known by that name in the yogic traditions. And again, let's take a look at where it's at here. you can see that it's near the back half of the lower abdomen. So if you were to go back from your belly button, about belly button's right up here, right? You go back about 2/3 of the way and then drop straight down. You're going to see that this area here is known as the Kundalini. And this area is quite important, quite important. Let's find out why. Because in the East, they refer to it, the yogis, as the Kundalini. In the traditional cultures that my teacher grew up in China, they actually have a different name for it, even though it's the same energy center, called the Snow Mountain. And the Taoists call it the Golden Urn. So what's the relevance of telling you this? Well, the relevance is that this energy center has been known by many different cultures and many different parts of this world. They've known of this energy center. They just have different names for it. Very often different practices to accomplish the same thing. I personally find that very, very interesting. And so here we see that the Kundalini is located approximately 2/3 of the way back, and you drop down until you see that energy center there. It's also known as one of the 3 foundational energy centers. Now, you might have noticed I didn't go into depth, but the lower Dantian is the postnatal energy center, and this energy center is the prenatal, which means it connects to the energy of your ancestors. It is the key to the quality of life and long life. And curiously enough, as I mentioned in an earlier presentation on the 5 elements, the kidneys feed and nourish the brain, but guess what feeds and nourishes the kidneys? It is the Kundalini Snow Mountain area. And it's also, in essence, creating food for the brain and the third eye, which is taught in depth in my foundational course. And then it's also what's known in the TCM as the starting point for the 4 major energy meridians that circumnavigate the body. We're not going to go into any details there. And so this whole area here actually has quite a few sacred and in some cases secret energy points. We won't go into any detail on that, but in the advanced courses that we offer, you can learn about these energy points within the body. And what this helps you to understand is that you are more than just cells and cell units and a heart and a liver and lungs. That you'll learn through this ongoing practices with what we do, that when we go into the Tao calligraphy healing field, when we go into all the different practices that we do, when we do a practice with the lower Dantian or the Kundalini or the message center, which I'm about ready to talk about, what in essence are we doing? Why are we doing that? We're trying to clear the negative vibration, frequency, and information that has collected in these areas of the body. Because what's the lower Dantian near? What's the Kundalini near? Well, it's near the lower back. It's near the urinary bladder. It affects the kidneys. So if these areas are weak and the space, which holds all of the positive and negative frequency and vibration, is affecting your physical, then why not affect the space, which then will then affect the physical? You understand? That's why we do these practices, and that's why we recommend these particular months. And keep in mind, this is thousands and thousands of year old wisdom. If it's stuck around that long, maybe it has some value. I don't know. Let's see if it does. And so now we move to the message center. This is the third of the 3 foundational energy centers. In my course, I mentioned we cover the third eye and the Zhu Chao. I'm not going to cover that here today. So you might know it as what's called the heart chakra. Okay. And so it sits in the center of your chest. It's a fist-sized energy center. And it is the key for soul communication, soul language, and direct knowing. What are those? It's fun to explain those. I'm not going to cover that today, but it's about communicating with our beloved divine Tao and source creators. They're all one. Divine Tao source creator is one. Jesus, Buddha, whoever you believe in, they can actually be communicated with. But the key is to open your heart. So it is the key for opening the spiritual channels. It's the key for removing the negative information that's in your vibrational field, because a lot of times it gets stuck right there in that heart center. You ever notice that? Gets stuck right in your heart. So one of the keys is to have practices to remove that heart pain, because it can stop us from loving. It can stop us from finding true love. It inhibits us from having forgiveness when we know we should. These are what's called message center blockages. When we take time to open it with practices, our compassion can increase. So can our light. And absolutely, this will transform any aspect of your life when you do practices for opening the message center. And as mentioned in one of my trainings, the on the chakras, I believe you may or may not have reached that yet. We speak about when you reach the fourth soul house or fourth chakra, that is actually the first level of soul enlightenment. So you'll learn a lot more about that as you go. Now, this center is very important as well, as it leads the consciousness to heal and transform, especially helping us to transform negative mindsets, attitudes, and beliefs, ego and attachments. Maybe you or somebody you know has a health condition, memory issues, ADD, eating disorders. All of these, yes, of course, there's some biochemical imbalances, but what a lot of people don't realize is many of the contributing factors are actually at the level of the heart chakra. Isn't that interesting? Now, also in one of our videos, you may or may not have reached yet, we talk about the 5 elements. So if this doesn't make sense here, it will definitely make sense when you get to the 5 elements. And so it is the key center for empowering and healing, rejuvenating the fire, metal, and earth elements. And these elements have associations with these emotions. So if you've experienced anxiety, depression, sadness, or worry, well, got great news for you. Those can come back into balance a bit more when you do practices for healing and rejuvenating the heart chakra, as well as these systems, circulatory, respiratory, lymphatic, and digestive. These kinds of systems can be positively impacted by this change. And so now we are at the end of this introduction to these 3 of 5 foundational energy centers. So again, they are the lower dantian, about 1.5 inches below your belly button, about 2.5 inches inside your body. And it's very important for energy, stamina, vitality. The kundalini or snow mountain area, and it's more towards the latter back half of your body, down a little bit lower than the lower dantian. It's a fist-sized energy center as well. And it's so important. It feeds and nourishes your kidneys, your brain, and even potentially your third eye. It can impact all the organs in that area, lower back, everything in that area. And it's also very important for your energy, longevity, life. And then the heart chakra, right here in the center of the chest. So important in so many ways. And to be perfectly frank, you can never do enough heart chakra practices or fourth soul house practices. You'll hear that verbiage moving forward, because as we open our heart, we heal. We can transform so much pain and suffering in our life when we use these practices. So this gives you a good foundation, and I look forward to sharing more with you in the other recordings and in the future classes. We'll see you soon.